Hey, hello everybody.
Hello, how are you? Good morning.
Good
Very good
morning.
morning. Very good morning, everyone. Just quick check on the mic and the video quality. Do you all see me loud and clear? I mean, do you all see and hear me loud and clear?
Yes.
Yes, audible and clear.
Oh, perfect. Let me quickly share my screen. All right. So do you all see my screen as well?
Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect. So once again, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the first session of our Falcon or Crowdstrike EDR workshop from SIEM Expert. So myself, Arvind, I'm going to be your mentor for this particular next 3 weeks, helping you to figure out and master yourself in the Falcon XDR and EDR. So coming to myself, I am again based out of I am Arvind and I'm based out of Hyderabad. So I do carry an experience around 8 years of experience in the cybersecurity. So I have been in the chairs of, I started my career with SOC L1 analyst, and thereafter been in the chair of an engineer. I have been in the chair of SOC L3 analyst, and I have been in the chair of incident response analyst as well as the threat hunter. And I'm currently working in an organization as an incident commander. So that is my professional experience. And coming to the relationship with SIM experts, it is going to be around 2 years, and I have trained almost like more than 500 plus students in this couple of years. And coming to this particular workshop, so we are the designers of this particular workshop. So we made this particular workshop in a way that to help you to figure out the initial steps of CrowdStrike Falcon as an EDR, and then how do you excel yourself starting from the basic and all the way till the advanced. So that is what we are actually planned, and that is what our intention of creating this particular workshop. So with that being said, I would like to quickly take you through our agenda. So once again, I would like to check, do you all hear my audio right? Do you hear
Yes,
me break
it's
anywhere like
clear.
that?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Thanks for the confirmation. So as you could see on the screen, so we have totally 6 core domains that we are going to cover in this 3 hours. I mean, I would say in the 3 weeks. First, as you know, it is going to be the endpoint detection and response, where we'll try to understand the core basics of an EDR, and also we'll see the administration side of the Falcon. So we'll try to see the in-depth details of the Falcon, and then we'll try to see how basically the features or operations or how do we manage the EDR as an administrator. At the same time, we'll also see how do we handle an EDR as a SOC analyst, or I would say as an incident response analyst, as tier 1, tier 2, or tier 3. So that is going to be our first domain where we'll be spending most of our time on the first week. And along with that, we'll also see some of the basics as well as some of the more details, like kind of operations, roles and responsibilities, or kind of architecture, alignment, those kind of things in the second domain, which is related to cyber security and operation center. So most of you have heard of that, like SOC, all right? So we'll be discussing about the roles that we have in the SOC, and then what kind of responsibilities they do carry in that. And also see, as a SOC analyst, how do we use EDR in their investigation or in the monitoring or while performing some of the activities in their day-to-day activity. Along with that, and that is going to be our second domain. And along with that, as you could see, we have incident response followed by threat hunting, threat intelligence, and malware analysis. So these are our domains where we touch base on these domains, and then we see how we use EDR as an Falcon as an EDR to understand how do we perform the incident response, how do we perform threat hunting, how do we use the threat intelligence, and how do we do the malware analysis. So whenever we are covering each of these particular domains, we'll also, the main target that we have is to excel that particular domain and to understand hands-on experience on that particular topic that we are covering. Along with that, we are most focused on the interview based questions, and we see how kind of or what kind of questions can we expect in an interview, and then how do we need to address them. So these are our core domains. So by the end of the third week, these are going to be your key takeaways. So most of the domains that will be sticking around this particular 3 weeks are going to be this three. And these are the hard cakes in the cybersecurity skill set. All right, coming to the orientation of this particular session, I must have to tell you that this particular workshop is designed in a way to keep more interactive. So it's not going to be, or it's not something that we expect to have only one-way communication where I speaking all the time. So it is expected to have two-way communication, or more it to be like an interactive session. That's the reason why we named it as workshop instead of mentioning as a training session or something like that. So as you could see, most of the part we'll be having on, I would say, most of the sessions that we have will be having into the two parts. So if we have 2 hours daily, so we'll be spending 1 hour on the theory part to understand the things, and then we'll be spending other 50 minutes on the hands-on to see how do we actually practice it, to see how do we demonstrate of that particular features that we actually discuss. And along with that, we'll also have some of the Q&A sessions in between the sessions or at the end of the session as well. So I request you all to leverage that particular period for Q&A, and then try to bring up all your questions that you have. And if required, we'll also be taking the break as necessary in between. So I would like to mention a couple important things here before I begin. So the first things first, I want you all to make your questions or make a list of your questions when I'm delivering the lecture or whenever you're going through any topic. And I urge and I request you all not to ask any questions. I mean, again, I'm not against to it. If it is anything concerning something like that, you can definitely, unmute your mic and ask me. But if it is something related to the topic, I want you to make a note of it and then shoot your questions at the end of each topic where I ask you all to open up for the questions. All right, you can, or you have your own time in the Q&A session to bring up all your questions that you have. So here you can list your questions in two ways. One, make your own notepad, or the thing, and this thing is you can use our Zoom chat for pasting all the questions. So I'll read out the Zoom chat at the end of each session. So that's where that is how we actually wanted to, because the main reason why we are going to be strict on this is whenever we are discussing about any session, you may come across some questions which may be already been covered in a topic, and we are going to cover in next slides of the session. So that is the reason why we don't want to get deviated while delivering the lecture. So we are requesting you all, or we urge you to please make a list of your questions and use the Zoom chat box, or you can use the Q&A session for for shooting your questions or for asking your questions. That is the main first point. And second point would be, I have this is my personal request, so I have a tendency to have a high rate of speech whenever I am actually speaking. This is what people say. So if you feel that I'm going a little faster, or if you're in a place where you feel I'm going faster and then you're not able to catch me up, then please feel free at that particular point of time to unmute yourself and then say, hey, Arvind, you need to pause here. You need to slow down here, or something like that. Clear? So these are the only two requests that we have from our side. With that, I would like to take another minute to explain you the point of context, because these point of context will help you to understand to whom to reach out and when you have to reach out to these certain people. As you could see, I'm your instructor, going to be for your instructor for next month or so. So you can ask me any questions related to the topic or any demo, or you can, if you have any questions related to your career, you can always reach me out. So mostly I'll be available on the WhatsApp. So I'm already added to the group that you people are in. So you can shoot me the questions in the WhatsApp. I encourage you all to use the group chat that we already have. The main reason why we made that particular group chat is to have a group discussion so that those questions and every information will be communicated properly to each and everybody. So if you're not limited to only communicate in the group, you can always reach out to me one to one as well, but we highly encourage to do it in the group chat. And you can also see the Shulab Mishra, who is the manager of this particular entire program. So in case if you have anything to be concerning, or wherever you feel like something need to be discussed above me, like the escalation point, you can always reach out to Shilab. And you do have our administrators here, last but not least, most important, Mahima and Uma. Mostly you might have heard from them already. So if you are having any issues in terms of technical, like example, let's say you're not able to access certain resources in the Falcon, or you're not able to access the Zoom link, or you are having any sort of technical issue in any of this, they are the people to reach at that particular point of time. So we three or we four are already part of your group. So you can just check with our details and you can reach us at any point of time. So we are just a text away. You can expect the response as soon as possible, but I would say do not hesitate to reach us at any point of time. All right, with that, let's begin to the session that we actually have. I would like to take a quick pause here for a second and then ask you, anybody has got anything to bring up?
No, sir.
Perfect. Let's begin with our topic of EDR. So again, as I said, I want to have this particular session interactive. So please feel free to unmute your mics whenever you wanted to speak, unless until you have any questions. So you're always open to do that. So coming to the before we get into the discussion of EDR and what it is, so first try to understand some of the basics. And again, as it is today is day one, we mostly will be sticking with the basics. So today you mostly will be able to see the theory part of it, because again, I want you all to bring into one platform, or I want to bring everybody into the one stage where you all understand me, the way I speak, the way I actually lecture. You all, I want you all to sync up with me, and then I start with the deeper sessions, or going in deeper with the technology or the skill set that we are going to discuss. So that's the reason why I made this particular day one to be in a very lighter way. So we'll only be discussing most of the theory and the basics in this particular session. So people who already have the experience working in the SOC, or who already have the experience working on the EDR, may probably feel this particular day one sessions may be repeated, or you can see like this is something that I already been hearing, something that I have been doing. So it is obvious, there's no doubt in it. So I request you to kindly have your patience till the day one. From the day two, you will see the deeper part of the topics that we actually deep dive into, the concepts of the EDR. All right. So let's discuss what is an endpoint. So as you all know, EDR stands for Endpoint Detection and Response, right? So in the beginning, let's try to see or understand what is an endpoint. So what do you think is an endpoint for yourself? Anybody would like to give a try?
Where data is moving
It
out,
is
that is
an Antivirus.
Let's go one by one.
where data is moving out, that is endpoint, like printers, scannings, emails.
Okay, fair enough. Any other inputs?
Which are the
So the
devices
last points,
connected with the network?
Good. You made a good point.
the last point of the net connectivities.
Nice. All right. All your points are correct. So let me give you the exact way that you can actually express if somebody asks and what is an endpoint, because we all know it's a simple question, but the answer is little complicated. I will say it's a kind of tricky thing. So here is the thing. What we call an endpoint is any node, or I would say, I mean, if you understand the network, you can understand what actually a node is, or I would say any device that has the capability to connect to the internet, or at least to connect to the network, and then share the information with other peers or with other nodes. And also it has the capability to store the information within itself. Are you all getting my point? So let me quickly repeat this again. An endpoint is a device which can connect to the internet, or which has the ability to connect to the network as well as to the internet, and then has the ability to share the information or accept the information, and also to store the information within itself. Does it make sense?
Yes.
So when it comes to the endpoint, it need not to basically be your laptop. It basically need not to be only your server. It need not to be basically any of your device which you actually see, you actually use. But again, there are n number of devices that can be considered as an endpoint. As you could see, most of the devices that we see in our day-to-day life, which are laptops, computers, tables, servers, smartphones, as well as you have some of the networking devices, are also considered as endpoint. So I would like to ask you a few questions and see, and just let me know if they can be considered as an endpoint or not. Okay. The AI system in your car, the smart AI system in a car, can we consider it as an endpoint?
No.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
If no, what do you think would be the reason for not considering it as an endpoint?
If there is an option to connect like a network, then we should consider as a endpoint. If there is no option to connect over the internet, then no sense.
Exactly. So when I say smart AI or the smart speakers in the car, they are coming with inbuilt internet right now, right? So they're just like having Alexa at your home, you're having it in the car. So it's same like that. Okay, when it comes to the Alexa, I must ask you you all are aware of the Alexa device, right? So do you think it's an endpoint, or can it be considered as an endpoint?
Yes.
Because it does not store the information.
But it has the ability to connect to the network, right?
Yeah, it has, but it can't
It does.
share to. It can't. Yeah.
You're getting my point? Okay, I'll ask you another question. Okay. The router in your home, the Wi-Fi router in your home, can it be considered as an endpoint?
No.
No, sir.
Yes.
I mean, yes or no?
Yes.
No.
No.
Okay, why no? What would be your reasons for it?
It passes on the traffic which it gets.
Router is used to
It does not use.
packet. It does not store anything.
It does not store anything. It does not store your routes. It does not store your gateways.
It is store and it is a network devices, so it is considered as endpoint.
See, when we say store the information, it need not to be only in the form of documents. It need not be in the form of files. It can be any piece of information which would let the attacker, or which would let share some of the information related to yourself. Like example, the MAC addresses, the routing tables, the IP tables. It has a lot more. So that is where we added a name called network devices here. Whether it can be your firewall, it can be proxy, or it can be your router. They all are considered as an endpoint. Now you tell me, do you think endpoints need to be secured? Why do you think they need to be secured? Okay. Let
Very
me
good attitude.
explain that. So what is the most important thing? What is the most important asset in 2024, or I would say in the 20 generation
Data.
for any company?
Data.
Company. Even personally, even for a person, what is the most important asset? Exactly, data. So data is everything. So data has everything related to that particular company, whether it can be a confidential or non-confidential information. That is another point to discuss. Data is always something that is considered as very vital or very important. And where do we store the data?
For laptop or personal devices.
Cloud.
Basically
On endpoints.
basically on the endpoint.
Database.
Exactly, on the endpoints, right? So imagine you have your data. I mean, obviously, you'll be having all your personal data on your phone, and imagine that you don't have any proper security controls on it. You don't have any proper security tools on it. How confident would be how would be your feeling there? Obviously, you feel very less secure, right? And we don't know whether your data is being used by somebody, whether somebody is accessing your data, or they can impersonate you by using your photographs, by maybe using your some of your signatures, by maybe using some of your information that is actually in there, like using physical address, email address, or anything, or whatever it is. So any information that represents your identity is something that is called as personal data. So any piece that has the personal data attached in an endpoint, that is again something considered as something vital, and you must need to secure it. So securing an endpoint is really, really important because you are securing the data, and data is the most important asset in current generation. It need not only for any company, it also for your personal as well. All right, so I just want to give you some quick basics on the endpoint. So let's not to get too much confused about it. So just basically keep this in mind. Any device or any networking device or I would say any endpoint, or I would say any node has the ability to connect to the internet and share the information is something that can be referred as an endpoint. Clear? All right. Now, when it comes to the securing of an endpoint, so who all are you from I mean, how many are from the generation, I mean, like I am where I am from. So I bought my first laptop, I think when I was doing my, I think when I'm doing my intermediate first year or second year, I bought my first laptop. So that was around 2011 or 12. Okay. I mean, if few people are from the same age group of where I actually belong. So whenever I purchase a new laptop and I go to all my friends to show my first machine, or I mean to show my laptop, you know what is the first question they used to ask me?
Which laptop? How much?
Do you think they are asking me about RAM, ROM? They're asking about any of my processor?
Antivirus.
Exactly. The first thing that they used to ask me is, have you purchased the antivirus license? Or have you installed the antivirus? Does anybody encounter this? So that used to be the importance of securing an endpoint during that period. So when it comes to the securing of an endpoint, the most solutions that we have hearing in the market is the antivirus. So that is a basic solution, or I would say the beginning of endpoint security solution that we all have seen or used, and we all may be using as well. So that is what one of the solutions. Again, it is one of the solutions to secure an endpoint. That is what I mean, most of you know already what an endpoint is. So here you'll see two different words, which is traditional and then next gen antivirus. So let's try to discuss what these are and try to understand how actually an antivirus works. So basically, let's try to understand what an antivirus is and then how it actually works. So anybody has any idea how an antivirus works?
Antivirus works based on signature.
Perfect. So what is signature?
Hash value.
Perfect.
malware file hash value, they update on the antivirus server. So
What
it
is
will, what's up?
what is hash?
It's a unique value for every file.
Perfect.
When we create a file, each file has its unique hash value.
Mm-hmm.
In
Good.
addition, antivirus does a real-time scanning of files before downloading. Real-time scanning.
Could you please repeat that? I didn't get you quite.
I said antivirus does a real-time scanning of files before installing it in the endpoint.
Valid point. I agree with you on that. But again, scanning for the hashes, right? I mean signatures. All right. So as you rightly said, endpoint works with the signatures, and signatures are nothing but they are the strings that are created out related to any of the file. So mostly you can consider they are the hashes of the file. So again, when it comes to the hash, it is the unique identification digital string which is given for any of the file that you have on your machine. So with that particular string or with that particular hash, we can identify what kind of file it is, what can actually what kind of capability that particular file has. So or what kind of strings that it has within them is something that we can actually identify with reference to the hash. So antivirus works with those hashes. You're getting my point? So what antivirus, I mean, again, I'm discussing about the traditional antivirus. So when it comes to the traditional antivirus, the most thing is the detection system. So how it gonna detect the alerts based on the hash values. So I'll explain you with a simple representation over here. Maybe I can start from here. Do you all see the OneNote on your screens?
Yes, sir.
Perfect. So let me do some. Okay. So let's consider this as your endpoint. Okay. Let me write it here. An endpoint. Or I'll say it's your hard drive on the endpoint. And then you also have internet in between, or let's say it is on-prem. Let's not consider the internet for the time being. Let's take this as antivirus database. Okay. What would actually be in the antivirus database?
Signature.
Signatures. Mostly the hash, string, domain, IP address, and sometimes you can also see some of the tool details. So let's not get into it. Again, let's stick to till the IP address as well. IP address. Okay, this is what you will get to see in the signature. So let's consider only the file system for time being. So let's say I'm just taking a simple example. Let's say there's a file called 11223344. This is one hash. Another hash is 55. Another hash is 66. Another hash is 77. Another hash is 88. Okay, so this is the signature, or this is what we call the signatures that we have in the antivirus database. Maybe I can use this red. So these are the signatures that we have in the antivirus database with reference to the file hashes. Okay. Now, again, on your endpoint, you'll have the files right on the endpoint. So you have a files and the hashes of those files goes like, let's use the same numbers, but I'll make it 99. Or I can make it 11, and I can make it 22, and I can make it 4. Okay. Now, these are the signatures that you have on your endpoint. Now, what you're trying to do is you are trying to scan this particular file system, or you're trying to scan this particular USB or hard drive, or let's say you're going to scan this particular folder with AV. Now, what this AV does is it will look for the signatures to do a match in this particular file system. You're getting my point? Guys, are you all with me?
Yes, sir.
So now, now you guys tell me, what when searching for this particular hash, is there any match here?
Oh, sorry.
Yes, for one.
Yes, there is, sir.
What about this?
For one.
Last
No.
one.
Last one.
This has the
Yeah.
match
It
with the
is.
data. So which means that as per this particular antivirus, you getting my point? As per this particular antivirus, which we are actually having the database, these 3 files were not suspicious, or they are not malware linked. But this particular file has somewhere reported as malicious, and that's where it has got the ID in its database. I mean, has its signature in its database. And now, if antivirus is scanning this particular host, scanning this particular file, do you think will it be able to detect?
Yes.
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 Because it has a signature match in it. So as soon as there is a signature match, it is going to either quarantine the file or delete the file or remove the file based on its actions. See, we are discussing about the way it responds, I mean, the way it detects, and then the way it actually acts. So here, when it comes to the detection, it is mostly the traditional AVs are mostly based on signatures. So they only look for the signatures, and if there is any match with the signature, then it's going to take the action either to quarantine or remove the file. So I have a question right now for you all. So what is the difference between quarantine and then removing or deleting from the file, deleting from the host?
Quarantine means isolation, like it will keep in a separate place.
Exactly. So quarantine is nothing but it's not completely removing your file. It is like encrypting that particular file and then storing in a different place where normal user cannot access it. The only people who want to work with that particular file, like example, you have a malware file and you need to work as a SOC analyst and understand the behavior of it, right? So if antivirus deletes it, then there is no piece of evidence that you have got to actually perform some of the investigating like malware analysis kind of details. So that's where we say quarantine. When it comes to the quarantine, it will do not delete the file. It will keep the file in a different path, in the different directory where only authorized people, like only the SOC analyst or only the people from the cyber security can access that particular file for the investigation. But when it comes to the removing of the file, it's like completely getting removed of the file. It's not required to quarantine and then save that space for known malwares. You're getting my point?
Yes, sir.
So antivirus has 2 main functions. Scanning, I mean, detecting the threat and then taking the action on the threat. So how it detects the traditional antivirus? With the signatures. And how it actually detects the signature that you have on the screen. That is how signature based detection actually works. Now, that is the one of the way for the traditional antivirus. Okay, now let's get into some of the next gen antivirus. Again, when it comes to the next gen antivirus, they added some of the features in terms of the detections. So when it comes to the additional features, have you all come on, Have you all heard of this solution called McAfee?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
So I think that was that was the first antivirus tool that started giving you the web protection. So instead of just protecting your files or only scanning the files that are downloaded, it has the ability to look at all your DNS or all your web activity and then block you from accessing the malicious sites. Have you ever seen that? Antivirus say, hey, you're accessing some of the malicious site. You're not allowed to do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is another benefit that got added into the antivirus. I mean, not the benefit, I would say the kind of detection system or the kind of additional protection that you're going to get from the antivirus. So now you have signature-based protection as well as you have web protection. Now, the other protection that we have got in the next-gen antivirus, so I'm calling about next-gen antivirus, is detection-based, I would say behavior-based detections. So let's say you have a Chrome, right? So what do you expect on a Chrome to do?
Web browsing.
Exactly. That is what it is actually meant for doing. Now, example, let's say you are accessing Chrome, but in the backend, Chrome is trying to access some of the files. Okay, accessing some of the files, which is fine because maybe you're uploading something or you are giving the access, but it is accessing the files, like it is accessing all the files within your system or like within particular directory. Or let's say Chrome is opening up your PowerShell or command shell and then trying to run some commands. So Chrome opening up the browser and then trying to connect to the internet is something we call it as normal, right? Normal for that particular application. But Chrome opening the command prompt on PowerShell and trying to run some commands or trying to access some files through it. Is it normal?
No.
No.
But a red flag. It's a red flag.
Abnormal.
So that is what we call it as behavioral based detection. So to give an example, let's say we all go to offices and we have all our access cards. So in the office, you are only given access to some certain floor. So suddenly security people saw you logging into some different floor. I mean, you tried to log in or tried to get into the different floor and access was denied. So will they directly call you and ask, hey, what are you doing? Just for one attempt?
No.
Right. So if you are accessing into the floor which you already have the access, so is it something is not considered as normal, right? So
Right.
nobody will actually stop you. Nobody will actually question you. Now imagine the same person is trying to access different floors multiple times. And when I say multiple times, 20, 40 times in a day, or let's say he's trying in a consistent way, like he's trying access to check the access every day into the different floor.
It is abnormal suspicious.
Okay, I just wanted to give you some example on behavioral based detection. So that is what behavior. So if you are designed to do something or if you're set to do something and you're doing it, then it is normal. But if you are asked to do something, but you're doing it little slightly different, then that is something we call it as abnormal. That is based on the behaviors. Best example is command prompt. So we see we expect command prompt to run the commands and to run some of the files, to open some of the files. But again, if command prompt is trying to connect to the internet and trying to do some of the files, to install some of the files, again, that is something abnormal. Clear? So next gen antiviruses has the capability to detect based on behavioral based detection as well as web protection, and also the normal antivirus feature, which is based on the signatures. So if it is only related to signature based, then we call it as traditional antivirus. If it is having all these three as an included, then we call it as next gen antivirus. And other most important thing is, okay, I'll come to that in a minute. So now let's discuss about, okay, that's about antivirus traditional and then next gen. Does anybody has got any question?
No.
Okay, perfect. So now let's discuss the some of the drawbacks of the antivirus. So let's see why the antivirus is called as legacy and no more. I mean, not everybody are recommending it right now for the for any of the company or organization as a security tool or as an endpoint security tool. Let's discuss about some of the drawbacks of this particular antivirus. First thing, based on the detections. So what is the main stream of detection for any antivirus? Based on signatures, right? So you all know the signatures. I mean, let me go to here. So it works based on the signatures and especially the file hashes. Now, me as an attacker, do you think how much time will it take for me to change the hash?
Few seconds.
Perfect. So the hash can be easily changed. I'll show you live how to do it. So let me get to this. Let's try some quick demo and then see. It's a VMware, so bear with me for slight lagging or congestion here. So let's consider this is the file I have, okay? So, I mean, I'm taking the word just to show you an example. So as I said, every file will have the hash. So now let's say I want to find the hash of this file. So you have multiple ways to do it, but I have this particular quick program to check the hashes. Okay, all right. So I just need to drag and drop the file here. So yeah, see, I have just dragged and dropped and I have got the hash value, which is Shavan. I mean, you can see the different formats of the hash over here. So now you have this particular hash value, right? So now let's go to that particular document. And then let me make some little changes in the document. And let's see what actually there in the document. I mean, I'm showing you Word, a file because we can change it, but imagine it as, what do you call this, an exe file. So here it has some document. Hey there, this is the testing hash value of a file, and this is a test for an emitted malware hash change. So now let's make some changes here. I'm updating the document for the later for the new hash. So I just added this word, which is updating the document for the new hash, right? So, and I'm clicking on save. Now, let me close this and then drag this a bit here. So does anybody remember earlier it was starting with 2.5,
2.5.
right?
Yeah.
But
Yes,
now
the
it,
hash value is changed.
the hash is, so how easy it is to change the hash?
Changing the script.
It is going to change, it is going to take only fraction of seconds.
Fraction
So
of
in
second.
the malware file, I can just change a little string on it. Like example, if I have any malware files to, if I want to change anything, I can just change a piece of code, just a single line of code will help me to change or modify this particular hash. Now the hash value of this file got changed. Now let's go back to our system here. So now earlier it was 44. Now the hash value changed to 1111. Right? Now it was earlier malicious. Now if I scan it, does your antivirus will be able to detect it as malicious?
No.
No.
Considered as clean or normal file. Now you got it, but it is the same file which is actually is this, which is actually malicious. But only thing is the hash value got changed.
The signature is not available in the database.
Exactly. And why the signature is not changed? Because somebody has updated it. So as soon as you update any string or any command within the tool, that is where it's gonna get a new hash value. New hash in the sense it's a new signature.
Yes.
Now you tell me, now how secured are you? Let's say you have your laptop and you only have EDR, I mean not EDR, antivirus on your system. Now, how secure are you right now? How secure you feel right now?
Not secure.
Not enough secure, sir.
So that's the point here. So when it comes to the drawback, it will only deal with the known malwares. What is the first drawback? Guys, I
It
want to
deals with
I would
only
I request you all to pay attention here because it is one of the most interview asked question. Like, what are the drawbacks of an antivirus? See, they may ask you or they may not ask you how antivirus works, but they definitely ask you, why do we need to use EDR instead of having an antivirus solution? So that is where you have to express, or that is where you have to give the explanation of this drawbacks, and then you have to elevate the EDR. And I had to call out why EDR actually stands out.
So,
What is the first drawback?
it deals with only known signatures.
What if it is a 0-day?
so sir,
You
it,
Of course,
have
it will not
0-day.
identify.
Then system got compromised.
Yeah, 0-day is something that is having something that is discovered on the same day, and you have no remediation solution. So 0-day is nothing but imagine it is a new malware. They're using new solution, they're using new tools. So you have a 0-day to detect it because you have no signatures of it. You don't know about the behavior of it. So if anybody was not aware, or if you want to understand more about 0-day, I request you to kindly go through it and then make sure you are very clear on it, because I'll try to see if I can cover somewhere in the between our presentations, if anybody is new to this particular terminology 0-day, please make a note of it. 0-day attacks, please go through it and understand the recent attacks that were happened with the 0-day. That will again potentially be one of the questions that we can anticipate in the interviews. All right, what is
Sure.
the next
Thank you.
drawback? While using antivirus, do you hear people saying, "Hey, antivirus is eating up my RAM. Antivirus is eating up my storage. Antivirus is eating up my bandwidth." Do you all remember somebody saying this?
Yes,
People who,
also scanning.
people who has the background of IT or working in the help desk, they can feel the pain of this antivirus. It gonna interrupt the system operation. It gonna interrupt the server. Guys, do you all hear me?
yeah. So just
Yes, yes.
It is gonna interrupt the operations a lot. So it used to make just to give a sleepless nights for many of the administrators when it comes to having the antivirus on the servers. And you all know many people used to disable the antivirus on the servers just because it did not stop anything to run. And that is the worst thing that anybody could do.
so
So
sorry,
what is the first?
it's not giving the real time protection, we can say, right?
I mean, you mean the 0-day? No, it has a real-time protection. It will protect you whenever you are running the file or whenever the file is being created. But the only thing is, if it is having, if it does not have the signature, it can't do anything. It will let the application to run. You getting my point?
Yeah.
That is why we say it is signature based. And second drawback is the usage of it, the storage of it. So it consumes most of the CPU, it consumes most of the RAM, it used to consume most of the bandwidth, and it used to slow down a machine and its operation. That is one of the huge drawback. And the other drawbacks is you don't have much things to do with the antivirus. Now you can only scan the machine, and you cannot even delete the files on your own, right? You can just scan it. If it is found malware, then it will delete the file or quarantine the file. But if you want to delete any of the file and you have to investigate any of the file, you can't do it with the antivirus, right?
Correct.
And
Yes.
coming to this skill set, it's just like install it and then gone. You know not to do any changes and anything. But the other most important thing is you have to keep your data, database data to up to date every time, because that is where our malware repository is. So you have to, that is where it connect to the internet and get your signatures updated. And you have to update this particular signature for every end of the day or for every end of the week without fail. If you fail, then you are missing out the new malwares, and which means that you are having a system which can actually have the malwares on it but cannot be detected with the antivirus. So these are the known drawbacks of the antivirus. The first thing is it is signature based detection. So I would say it is a lack of the detections for the 0 day for the traditional antivirus. And second thing is it used to consume most of the storage or resources of a system, and it used to slow down the machine. And next thing is you are more dependent on the signatures, and you have to update your database for every now and then. Clear?
Yes.
Now let's see how EDR actually varies with that. Now we have seen antivirus. Now we have seen its drawback. Now we have to have a solution, right? We need a solution for it. And that's where the solution, endpoint security solution, which is mostly now we are referring in this workshop as EDR, is coming into the picture. So now let's see what an endpoint EDR is. Before that, I would like to take a quick pause and then ask if anybody has got any questions on the antivirus. And let me read out some of the chats here I could see.
Sir, actually, next gen for antivirus will also detect on behavior also, no, sir?
Obviously. Only but on behavior.
The next gen antivirus comes into EDR category or into antivirus category?
Antivirus is antivirus, where no matter whether it is traditional or next gen, it is an antivirus. EDR is a different solution.
Okay, so traditional, next gen antivirus doing safe, deleting the file and work only based on signature.
The only difference that we have with the next gen antivirus is the little. Okay, let me explain you the difference between traditional and the next gen antivirus in clear. So, what are the three drawbacks of traditional antivirus? Basic drawbacks.
It
Work on
only works on signature.
Perfect.
It uses a huge resource for the computer, like CPU, RAM, and the next thing was
deleting file when it
Yeah.
deemed as
Perfect.
Yes.
These are the three drawbacks of traditional antivirus. Now let's see the next gen antivirus solutions for it. First, detection system. So I told you, so they added some of the detection features like web protection and also had behavior based detection. Those additional detections, it will be the next gen antivirus. And again, when it comes to the system operation, again, unfortunately, even next gen antivirus could not work on the reduction of the resources, because you are adding extra duties for the antivirus. Like earlier, it only used to scan the signatures, but it is now has to scan the behaviors. So which is again eating up most of the machines, CPUs and everything, or the resources are to be precise. And then it is making your system slow. That is still there. It is not addressed in the next gen antivirus, because earlier it is only doing one functionality, but it is still lagging. Now you are asking you to do 2 to 3 activities. Now the other drawback that antivirus or traditional antivirus has is the signatures, upgradation of the signatures. You have to do it either manually or you have to do it on a particular time or a scheduled time frame. If you miss it out, then it's like entire production is gone for that particular week. But next gen antivirus are like internet connected. They can update the signatures every time there is a new signature out there in the market. You're getting my point?
But I have a
Yes.
question, sir.
That is what the key differences between the next gen antivirus and traditional antivirus. So if you ask me the difference, or if you ask me one of the clean example of antivirus and then next gen antivirus, I would say, have you heard of the solutions Semantic and McAfee?
Yes, of
These
course.
are the next gen antivirus solutions. And traditional antivirus, that one we have Avast and then
Yes,
Kaspersky.
Kaspersky, yeah.
They are the traditional antivirus. Again, not with the license, with the free versions that I'm referring here.
Okay.
I have
Clear?
a question, sir.
That is a
I have a
key
question, sir.
difference. That is a
Question,
key
sir.
difference between yeah, go on.
Okay, my question is, I was thinking that is the vendor, the antivirus vendor that updates the signature, the R&D of the antivirus vendor that always update the signatures on the antivirus. For instance, if there's a 0-day attack, they have to get a report, research on it, and then include it on in the SEO.
No, I don't think I understand your question correctly, but let me see if I understood correctly or not. So your question is how those signatures are updated on the antivirus and
Yeah,
how
I'm saying,
protect it from
is
the.
it? I was thinking that it is the vendor that update the signatures on the antivirus.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's my question. Or is it the customer that buys the people that use the antivirus update it? I think it's it of the vendor, the research and
Yeah,
development
on
of.
traditional, a person has to.
In a traditional antivirus, do you remember whenever you used to go through the security playbooks, the main recommendation that we used to get back in 2020s is, I mean, in 2000 is update your antivirus signatures. That is one of the key recommendations given by any security professionals during that particular period. So which means that either you have to manually update it or you have a vendor who can actually do it. But again, the vendor, let's say you are having Symantec. So you need not update the signatures unless until it is actually required. Let's say you're seeing signature which is specific to your organization. Then you can go ahead and manually add it. But if it is something happening globally, then Semantic will take care of it. But again, how they're gonna add, what is the frequency of it, we don't know.
Oh,
You're getting my point?
yes, sir.
So that is something Next-Gen Antivirus does. So they take care of it. But if it is on-prem and you are the sole admin of it, then you have to take care of it. You know the difference between on-prem and then managed the SaaS environment, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So on-prem, you are the owner of it. You're just getting the brand value from the vendor, but you are the owner of it. Only the brand will support whenever you're stuck. It will not support you in a day-to-day operations. You have to take
Yeah.
care of it. But when it comes to that kind of cloud, what do we call this? Getting the cloud license from it, they take care of everything. They manage it, they install it, they take care of everything. The only thing is it's like buying your own car and then cloud is like you're renting a car. Buying own car is nothing but you have to take care of its maintenance, you have to take care of its driving, you have to take care of its documentation, road taxes and everything. But when it comes to hiring a cab, you just need to worry about that particular fare. Just look at if it worth, then there's nothing that need to be worried about. Need not to look for the driver, you not to look for their experience, you not to look for the insurance, you need not to look for the route that you are going for, you need not to look for the traffic congestions. You getting my point?
Yes.
So that is the key differences there.
Okay, clear, sir. Thank you.
Perfect. All right. So let's get into the function of EDR. So anybody would like to take a quick break? I mean, need a break for 5 minutes or shall we continue?
Let's continue.
We can continue.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Coming to the endpoint detection and response. So the title itself says something very different here. So in the antivirus, we only have detection mechanism and we only have protection mechanism. But if you see, EDR comes with endpoint detection and response. Do you see extra word there?
Yes, response.
Exactly. That is what makes this particular EDR stand out. I mean, for me, that is what but again, there is a lot of features which actually makes EDR to stand out in the market, which we'll be going to discuss again. But for me, response is one of the best option that I actually like. And again, I also like the way it is going to detect, but again, more often the response is like most important thing that I actually like. So as said, endpoint detection and response. So it's all about upgradation of those detections and then improving the feasibility of taking the responses using an EDR solution or using a solution. That is what we refer it as endpoint detection and response, which is in short called as EDR. You're getting my point? Will you be able
Yes,
to answer what if
clear.
somebody asks what is an endpoint? Sorry, what is an EDR?
EDR, endpoint detection and response.
No, explain them more. You're getting my point? So if somebody asks you what is an EDR, just not tell them the full forms, right? Explain it. It is a solution which is made for the advanced or enhanced detection as well as to provide a great visibility and then great access in terms of response to any of the threat.
Okay.
Getting my point?
So can we say EDR is an advanced version of antivirus?
We'll see. Let's see.
Okay.
You see, we understood about antivirus, we understood about next gen antivirus. Now let's see how an ADR works, and then let's decide if it can be considered as compared with antivirus. Let's see what an ADR is capable of, and then let's take the call.
Arvind, I have a
Yeah,
small query. Response is nothing but a prevention,
we'll
similar
see.
to the.
Let's take a
Okay,
look into it
okay, okay,
because we are not had looked into the EDR yet.
okay, okay. I
No
thought
problem.
like is any alternate name like response or prevention, both are similar.
Let's see. All right. So we know how antivirus works, right? We just saw how antivirus works. Now let's see how an EDR works. So when it comes to the antivirus, it used to collect only few information. So let's say you have next gen antivirus. What kind of information that it collect? It may collect the information related to your file. It may collect the information related to your DNS. It may collect the information related to any of the process to understand the behavioral based detection. But when it comes to the EDR, is my screen visible for you? You can see all the information here. Or
Yes,
you
sir.
want me to zoom it a little bit?
Yes.
Little
Yes,
bit.
yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I don't think I mean, it is in the presentation mode. I can't zoom it. Yeah, there you go. Sorry, I got it.
It's okay now.
Okay, perfect. So it is, I mean, in short, I would say Falcon, not the Falcon, just consider the EDR as a solution here. So EDR will take or begins from collection of the data. So what kind of data? Again, it is one of the it is one of the important question for your interview. So I mean, if you are going to be appearing for the admin kind of roles, this question can be expected. So what kind of information or data will be collected from an endpoint by an EDR? So here it can be a process information. It can be a connection information. It is file information, driver information. I mean, you can see all the details over here on the screen. So by just looking at it, you can just understand one thing. It is collecting each and every piece of information that possibly an endpoint can generate, right?
Yes.
It is collecting, I mean, in short, I would say it is collecting each and every mouse click or each and every click of your host. It is collecting all your data. So more data is equal to more visibility. So that is where the first difference is. So it collects a wide variety of information or the events that are available on your machine or which are generated by your machine. And then EDR will put all the events into your system it will start monitoring for the threats with reference to the data that you actually collected from here. It will start monitoring the threats, and then it will use analytical behavior. So it's not only uses behavioral based detection, but it'll also do the machine learning based on some of the analytics, based on some of the threat intelligence. I would say way for than the behavioral based detection. EDR try to correlate and try to detect the threats. And that's where using that behavioral analysis as well as using those analytical analysis, using that threat intelligence features, it will detect the malicious activities, and then it will report you the malicious activity of any detection. I mean, it will report you malicious activity happening on any of the mission. And then you'll have advanced algorithms, towards the path. So it will also use most advanced algorithms to get you the data represented, or it will get you the more, I would say, in a more defined way to present the data for you as an analyst. It's not just like giving you one single log, but it'll try to give you the complete details of that particular event around that particular. I mean, we'll be seeing what on how it actually works as we keep going. But it gives you with a combination of more algorithm. And you can also see it has a technology that processes all the events and narrows into the categories. So again, what out of this millions of events that are collected from an endpoint, it has the ability to narrow down your search. It will has the ability to help you to narrow down your actually what you're looking at, and then those categories, it is made very easy now. Simply put, the algorithms and then technology being used to narrow down the searches of your, results of your searches, so that you get the desired output, whatever you're actually looking at. So that is one of the another feature that is how it process. And once everything is processed, then you will have an alert generated, and then that's where you will actually work on the alert. Let me repeat this again. So as soon as you install an EDR on the machine, it will start collecting all the pieces of information that we just listed out here. So as soon as it collect the information, it will use abnormal behavior. It use behavioral based analysis, signature based analysis. Again, EDR also has an antivirus features. Again, it is the combination of antivirus features with additional detection capabilities, which we will see in some time. So uses analytical behavior, uses behavior-based analysis, it uses threat intelligence, and then it will create the detections. And once it has the detection, it will not only give you the detection details, but it will also use some of the inbuilt searches. It uses some of the, it's like just like the correlation searches that we actually get. So it will do all those skill set, and then it will provide the alert to the analyst with all the data to say that this is what we have.
Sir,
So that
what is the
about
use?
how this EDR actually. I'll take up your questions at the end of this presentation. I'm sorry to stop you, but again, I'll please make a note of your questions.
Sure, sir.
So this is how basically the entire process of EDR actually works. So because now let's see what are the key benefits of it. Again, we discussed here, it is going to do the behavior based techniques, and also using analytics, and also using some of the advanced technologies here to represent the data. Now let's see what are the key benefits we have out of that particular what do we call this, out of that particular EDR over here. As you could see here, when it comes to the um, benefits of an EDR, you can see we have next gen antivirus. It is the combination of next gen antivirus protection along with detection and response. You're getting my point? So EDR is nothing but it is a combination of next gen antivirus features along with added benefits of detection and response. So let's try to export, let's try to see one by one features of it, and then try to understand it. So when it comes to the prevention, you got the same prevention as next gen antivirus does. Either you can quarantine the file, you can kill the file, or you can actually delete the file as soon as it is found to be malicious. And also it has integrated threat intelligence, I mean, which comes with the default of that particular thing. It also has that uh, integrated intelligence, and it has threat analytics and then forensics of endpoint, which are basically the same thing, which are, kind of behavioral based detection that we just discussed in the next gen antivirus solutions. So along with this, you also have some extra benefits over here. As you can see, I'll go from here. You will have the data collection. So when it comes to the data collection, you saw the differences. It is going to collect a wide variety of data, and then it is going to do some of the behavioral based analytics, and then it is going to give you some good detections, which are of a wide variety of detections with along with so much of data which is actually required for you to do your investigation. I mean, which makes your investigation easy. And also you have the additional features of threat hunting, as well as, I would say here there is one more thing that is not added with threat intelligence, because we added it as integrated threat intelligence over here, which is the feature of next gen, but that is more advanced in the EDR, because by default you will get the integrated intelligence, but if you go for additional licenses, then you will get a very good threat intelligence platforms within the EDR solutions. So if I discuss, if I again recap here one by one, as you could see from the data collection, so it will be collecting all the information that you just saw, and then it will provide the protection for you based on the hash values and the signatures behavior. And also you can see it has an integrated intelligence which will give you additional protection, and also have threat analytics, which is nothing but the way how it represent the data for you, like those dashboards, and then easy of representing the data and all. And you have endpoint forensics as well. So even using the using the antivirus, next gen antivirus, you can also perform the endpoint forensics as well. But again, the additional feature of threat hunting is something that is offered by the EDR, which is part of detection response. And you can also have a keen detection, or I would say the complete detection information over here, along with behavioral analytics with added intelligence to the search engines. And you also have automated and manual response. So what is this automated manual response? We'll just see it. So somebody was asking, isn't prevention is not same as response? All right. I don't remember the name.
Yes, Arvind.
Now you see the difference?
Yeah.
They are different. So how they are different, we'll just see in, as we keep going.
Okay.
So
Arvind, can you give an example for integrating threat intelligence? Integrated the
okay. I will give you an example of this integrated threat intelligence is, how can I say?
whether it is acting like any database inside the EDR to match the any IO hash values or any signatures like that.
I would say this. So, you know what is intelligence, right? Threat intelligence.
No, there only I'm getting confused. That's why
Mm-hmm.
the concept of threat intelligence only I'm getting down.
Okay, I'll give you. I mean, again, we have a threat intelligence module which we're going to cover, but to give you some quick details about it. So you're just confused how this database and then integrated threat intelligence vary,
Yes.
right? So if it is an EDR, mostly in terms of the threat intelligence, it will tell you what is actually happening, right? It will give you the behavior of an attacker. It will give you a behavior of an malware. It will give you complete information about the malware. So the hash values are only the IOCs. You know the IOCs,
Yeah, I know.
Peter of compromises, which is
Yeah.
hash, IP, and URL.
Mm.
They are already part of the signatures, which we already have. But the additional intelligence is who is actually operating this particular threat actor. I mean, who is the threat actor? What is their motto? What is their actually target? And what are their TTPs? You getting my point?
Yeah, you're telling like understanding the nature of that IOCs, how it is going
Nature,
to perform
nature as well as their behavior.
behavior. Okay.
Getting my point?
Yeah, I'm
So
getting.
say if it is a new attacker, he has the hashes in it. Let's say ransomware as a intelligence platform. I mean, sorry, you have a ransomware and you have intelligence platform as of EDR. If you are only dealing with the IOCs, we just saw how much time does it took for us to change the hash?
Not than a second.
Now, with just IOCs, will you be able to detect it properly?
No.
But what if you have an integrated threat intelligence with some additional features of those TTPs?
Okay.
TTP stands for tactic, technique, and process, right?
Yeah.
So based on that integrated intelligence, so let's say I have one intelligence that Lockbit ransomware is operating from Russia, or let's say Netherlands. That is one of the intelligence I have, and they are using so and so solution. I mean, they're using those TTPs like initial access phishing, and then lateral movement is again they're using RDP kind of thing. So those kind of intelligence, with that particular intelligence data, you can correlate to the threat actor and then see, okay, this may be related to this particular threat actor. Though I don't have a signature, I have to block it. See, from the behavioral standpoint, it can be normal. But again, with just reference to the intelligence, which is operating from Russia and coming from, what do you call this? Coming from Russia, and again, it is having a behavior of encrypting the files. That is the reason why it considered as ransomware. Okay, let me give you some simple example to understand. Do you all know the 7-zip files, right? Do you know
Yeah.
how to encrypt the files?
Yes.
How to zip and encrypt? So encryption of the files is a malicious behavior by default?
No.
Yes, for
Because, because we, for our business activities, we encrypt a lot of files on day to day. So encrypting itself is not a behavior of a malware. But again, encryption of the files is another most important behavior of what? Ransomware. Now, you being a SOC analyst or a SOC engineer, you had to set up the detection system only based on encryption of a files. Will you be able to succeed?
No.
Because you will end up with a lot of false positives. Your SOC team will definitely fire on you. Now, let's say encryption is normal behavior. It is creating a lot of false positives. Can you just disable it and then sit back and relax?
No.
That is where we use that particular intelligence which is integrated with it, with reference to the country that is actually coming from, with reference to the strings that are used to encrypt, those kind of features, other than the IOSs. You're getting my point? Simply put, TTPs.
So
Yeah, got
Arvind,
it.
Threat intelligence will help you to understand the threat actor who is actually behind it. But this IOSs will help you to understand what is the malware. By just looking at the hash, I can see, okay, this is related to ransomware. But again, who is actually behind, which gang is behind it, what is their motto? That kind of research only can be done with the help of intelligence. I mean, how do we use it? How it actually stands out? We're gonna see it in as we keep going.
okay. So Arvind, if we have EDR, so we don't need to install any threat intel like IBM X-Force and Palo Alto.
I'll answer your question at the end of this EDR topic today.
Okay.
I do have few things to go through. And once I go through it, I'll address your question because I have something to cover in the next slide.
Okay.
All right. Now, let's try to understand the key differences between legacy AV, next gen AV, and then EDR. So, maybe, oh yeah, we can connect it from here. So, ignore about spam or phishing emails as we don't have it. Ignore about that particular spam filtering as we don't have it. So now let's consider known rogue website or unknown rogue website. So you know what is a rogue website is, right? So just say if it is malicious site, if any of your endpoint is trying to reach out to the rogue website, does your legacy AV will block it?
No.
Because it doesn't have legacy. I mean the traditional antivirus solution. Traditional antivirus solution does not have a capability of web filtering or web traffic monitoring. So for that, you always need either the next gen antivirus with additional features or additional license, or you just need an EDR. So from the protection standpoint, again, from the detection standpoint, you will get the detections over here from next gen antivirus, and you'll also get the protection from the next gen antivirus. The same thing you will get from the EDR as well. But when it comes to the unknown rogue website, if it is a new rogue website which is actually trying to inject the malware into your machine, then next gen antivirus will not be able to detect it. But EDRs will be able to detect and then protect you from there. So now let's consider as a malware. So if it is a known malware is nothing but it hash is already known. So do you think your legacy AV will protect you?
Yes.
Yes.
And what about your next gen AV?
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, if a legacy AV is able to do it, even next gen antivirus and EDRs will be able to do it. What if it is an unknown malware, which is a 0-day? Does your
0-day.
AV will block it?
No.
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 Next
If it
generation will be blocked.
No.
an antivirus will may block
No.
because based on the behavioral based detection, but EDR will 100% block it.
Mhm.
What about fileless attacks? Again, what is this fileless attack and everything we'll just see in the case study. Need not to worry about it. So if it is a fileless malware, do you think your legacy AV will block it? Because
No.
legacy AV works on the files.
Only hash values.
And if it is a fileless, which means that there is no hash at all, then there is no way that legacy AV going to catch it. But again, next gen AV maybe based on the
Maybe.
detections, based on the behavior. But EDR will definitely because of the additional benefits that we just spoke. And exploit again related to vulnerability, even next gen antivirus mostly will not have the ability, but EDS will protect you from there. I mean, it's just a simple visualization of the differences between AV and EDR. And now, okay, before going into this particular slide, I would like to open up for the question. So you're asking, somebody asked a question. I asked to remind. Okay, if you are having an intelligence, I mean, if you're having a threat intelligence as an EDR, do we need to go for additional purchasing of additional intelligence platform? Was that your question?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So similar question can be asked. So I'll tell you what, I'll ask you something. So if you have a EDR, do you need to purchase an antivirus again?
No, not required.
No.
Everybody stands on that? Everybody thinks no? Here is my view on it. So it is always better to have layered approach. You know what is layered? So instead of depending on one single solution, it is always recommended to have multiple solutions in the place. I mean, again, based on your budget, based on your infrastructure, based on your company's architecture. So it is always encouraged. Even any architect, if you go to anybody, if you ask them, they always like the layered approach, which means that it has to go through layer by layer, and then the filtering of the packets has to be done in every layer. Getting my point? Now you have an antivirus and you have an EDR. So now all the known malwares are already being detected by the antivirus solution, right? Only the unknown files or unknown malwares will run through the EDR. So you're understanding my point? The time that you're gonna spend, or the time that machine is gonna consume, I mean the time as well as the resources that system is gonna consume by having an antivirus as well as EDR in the place is very less because they're sharing the load. All your known malwares are already being filtered out at the AVs, and EDR will only has to look at few events which are actually unknown, like 0 days, the actual things.
Understood.
Now, coming to your question, if you have an integrated intelligence with the EDR solution, do we need to go ahead and purchase an additional license of an EDR with that huge amount? Not only EDR, with any of the threat intelligence. So again, here, if you have an EDR, let's say, see, we are not talking about the Falcon, we are not talking about any of the EDR of a vendor, but imagine yourself as yourself as a victim and you have a threat. Do you only depend on one source of information? Do you only depend on one person who is giving you the information?
No.
Because we
Maybe
don't
it will be like
he can be correct, he can be wrong, we don't know what perspective of it. So here you can't take the chances. So that's why what you do, you go for getting multiple people to share the information with you because you have a threat. Like the same way, when it comes to the intelligence, each vendor, their consideration is different. Because if you imagine, there are few people or few organizations, they consider Facebook as malicious. If you look at some of threat intelligence platforms, they consider Facebook and Instagram as malicious. But are they malicious in real? Mm, but
Yes.
mostly not, because we do have it in all our phones. We are using it every day. But only thing is, how do you use it? I mean, unless until you're clicking on those advertisements and trying to install something, it has the ability to spread the malware. I mean, it has the ability to install the third-party systems. But again, it itself is not a malware.
Right.
You get my point?
Right.
So imagine you have a client who is, let's say you are a client who is protecting me and other people over here in the call. And you detected only one, you are purchasing only one threat intelligence platform where you say Instagram and Facebook are malicious. And you blocked me and you recommended me not to use Instagram and Facebook on phone. Is it is it a vital decision? Is it a good decision?
No.
Because as a user, let's say I'm owning a business and I need Facebook and Instagram to promote my business. And you're asking me not to use it just because your intelligence system says it is malicious. But is it really malicious? Yes, I agree. There is a risk of getting it. But again, you have to weigh the differences between risk that you have and the business profit that you're going to get with using of it. Does it make sense?
Yes, yes.
So it is always, if your company have the ability, if you have the finances to purchase one or more threat intelligence platform, that is the best thing that you could do. I'll show you how this we have a threat intelligence platform from the Falcon, as well as we have threat intelligence platform in the open sources. We'll see how that actually differs. Anybody has any other question? I hope that answers your question. I don't remember the name, the person who asked me, if I have threat intelligence integrated, do I need to go for additional threat intelligence? Does it answer your question?
Yes, sir, definitely.
I would say mostly yes.
Sir,
Go for it.
sir, the
Mhm.
relation rules are in SIEM also. What we are doing uh, with the SIEM. So, what is the need of having EDR in EDR?
That is our topic. Now you understood about antivirus. You understood about EDR. You also understood about differences between AV and EDR, right? Guys, if somebody
Yes.
asks what's the difference between
Hello, Arvind.
AV and EDR,
So,
can you able to address?
hello, I'm audible.
Yes, I can hear you.
Sorry for interrupting. Just wanted to know, like EDR collects all the required data, from various types of data. So,
Mhm.
did antivirus also collects the data, or He
No,
just only scans.
it collects the data because it has to collect your file information. It has to collect your web information. It has to collect your process information. It has to collect your file information. I mean, you have to get the hashes, right? When you're downloading a file or whenever you're actually opening a file, it has to get the hash value to scan the
Yes.
signature. And it has to get the DNS to provide you the web traffic protection. And it has to look for all the process to provide you the behavioral based detection. So it collect that three pieces of information. But whereas it comes to EDR, it is like literally collecting each and every operations that you do on the EDR. Sorry, on the endpoint. Did
Okay,
you get
got it. Thank you.
no problem. Now,
Sir, sir,
go on.
hello.
Yeah,
Sir.
hey.
Sir, what are the key points we have to say when they ask about what is the difference between next generation firewall and EDR?
Okay. You see here,
Yes, sir.
the ones on the green side, they all are the additional features over next gen antivirus. When it comes to the differences, first difference is data collection. I just told you the type of
Okay.
data that is collected. So more data
Yes.
collection is equal to more visibility. More visibility is equal to more protection, right?
Okay. Yes.
Imagine yourself, you are a CC, imagine yourself as CC camera and your visibility is only 90 degrees, or I would say 45 to 90 degrees. How much area are you covering?
A little bit.
Less
One
than,
part,
less,
one part of the area.
it's only like 30%.
Mm.
30%
Yes.
what is actually happening around you. What if your visibility is 180 degrees?
More effective to give all.
50%
50%.
coverage.
You have a rotational camera. More protection.
Yes.
Same thing. The more event data, the more protection. And where you get the data from? The host, the data collection. That is one key difference. And one is automated response. So again, response thing, I'll again help you. Don't worry. This is a very important question. What you're gonna explain? I mean, I'm only explaining in theory, but by the end of the workshop, you will get to understand the real sense of it. Because we are going to cover each and every feature over here and then trying to explore it. So you'll be able to explain them in a very elaborated way. But I'm just giving you some overview here on that. So you'll have automated responses. Like example, if you take antivirus, you want to do the sandboxing of antivirus. Do you all know what is sandboxing?
Yes.
Yes.
Do you think
No.
antivirus will have the okay, forget about the sandboxing. We'll discuss when we get into it. Okay, let's say there is a file which is malware, but your next-gen AV haven't detected it. Now you have to delete the file. You have next-gen AV, your AV haven't detected it, but during your investigation, you came across and you identified it is a malware file and you have to delete it. I mean, respond to it. You have to delete the file. How you delete it? You have no idea. You only have next-gen antivirus.
Only.
You have to reach out to the IT team or you have to reach out to the user and say, hey, remove the file. Or you have to take the remote of the machine and then you have to remove it, right? Where you need an intervention of a user or you need an intervention of any other teams to help you out. You're getting my point?
Yes.
Yes,
But
sir.
having the EDR on your environment, you need not to depend on somebody. You can just run some commands to delete the file on the end user machine. Not only delete, I just gave you delete is only 0.001% of the features of automated response. It has a very wide variety of, I mean, when I say automated response or manual response, you can control the user's machine directly from the EDR. Clear? And
Yes.
the other feature is behavior based analytics. So analytics is nothing but again based on the machine learning, based on the data science, based on the new intelligence platform, based on its processing algorithm. it has that analytical behavior where it is going to give you the data that is actually required for the investigation. So here, when it comes to the antivirus, you will just get an alert and say it is malware. But having the EDR, it will give you the complete information about that particular alert. It will give you the in and out of the alert. It will tell you what actually happened above the incident and then below, I mean, after the incident and then below the incident. I mean, before the incident. That kind of behavioral analytics we'll just see whenever you're dealing with the detections. And again, same detection and both are linked. Now, let's say you want to perform the threat hunting. So what is threat hunting? How we do it? We'll just explore it in coming days. But if you consider threat hunting is one of the key activity that you do as a SOC analyst, and you have to do the threat hunting. So next-gen antivirus has that feature.
No.
Oh, sir.
But all the EDS are capable of doing the threat hunting. You take EDR as a Falcon, you take Microsoft Defender, you take Sentinel, you take Carbon Black, everything has threat hunting as a default feature. I mean, these are the key differences. But again, there are n number of differences which you're gonna get as at the end of the workshop. I mean, as we keep going. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
No problem. So now,
Sir, I have a question.
okay, this will be the last question, and then I'll take the questions after completing my topic for today. Go on.
सर जब अपन एंटीवायरस यूज कर रहे हैं और नेक्स्ट जनरेशन एंटीवायरस यूज कर रहे हैं एंड ईडीआर भी यूज कर रहे हैं, तो हमको इनका यूज क्यों हो रहा है नेक्स्ट जनरेशन एंटीवायरस और एंटीवायरस का, जब हम ईडीआर ऑलरेडी यूज कर रहे हैं, क्योंकि ये तो हमारा स्पेस ऑक्यूपाई ऑलरेडी कर रहा है नेक्स्ट जनरेशन एंटीवायरस एंड एंटीवायरस, सो ईडीआर सिर्फ यूज करना चाहिए क्या हमको?
Okay, if I understand your question correctly, you already have next-gen antivirus in your organization. Why do we need to use an EDR additionally?
Yes, sir.
No, sir.
Is it vice versa? No, if I understand your question correctly, if you already have an next-gen antivirus, why do you need to purchase an EDR?
Yes, sir.
You have the answer here on the left, the greens. You getting my point? Because
His
of these
question
key
was vice versa actually.
Okay, is it vice
We
versa?
have, yes, it was vice versa.
Okay, if that is the
Yes,
case,
sir.
already told you to have the layered approach. So, I mean, again, it is not mandate to have antivirus when you have the EDR, because most of the next-gen antivirus platform benefits are already being covered. But again, if your organization allows you, if your budget allows you to purchase, it is recommended so that you can use this active and passive modes, and you can use for the known malwares. I mean, you can use the next-gen antivirus for filtering all the known malwares, and you can use EDR for focusing on some other activities like zero-day activity, and investigation, threat hunting, all this stuff. You get it? Based on that, what do you call that data, or I'll say responsibility separation, you can use both the solutions. But again, if you ask me this, if I have an EDR, I mean, if I have an EDR and I don't have any budget, but is it mandate for me to have next-gen antivirus in my organization? I would say mostly not. But again, if your budget has the feasibility and your organization is okay to do it, then it is always allowed. I mean, it is always recommended to have both the solution in the place. Because
For load balancing, sir.
not only for the load, it's like always single point of what if there is a failure of EDR by any chance. Let's say somebody has misconfigured the rules of the EDR and said not to detect anything. Then your entire organization is exposed to the internet, right? So
Sir.
it is always to have two platforms, because if you mess up with one, again, you'll have a passive one which will help you out to hold the heat. You got the point there?
Yes, sir.
Anyhow, final thing is like
Yes, got it.
multi-layered protection.
Exactly. So it is what
Yeah.
it is recommended. Every architect who is the one who's going to take the call, what kind of tools that I need, how many tools that I need, they definitely, even I have few uh, companies which I worked has using two EDRs at the same time. Not only about the AV and all, they use couple. I mean, I have seen n number of companies which does it. They purchase two EDRs because they don't want to rely on one EDR. So they use two at the same time. And you know how much the license costs for the EDR, right? It's huge. All right, somebody asks you if I already have an antivirus. I mean, if I already have an EDR, and then if you want to really, is it mandated to have next gen antivirus? Tell them clearly. It's not mandatory, but it is recommended to have for the layered approach, or in case of any failure, a single point of failure, then it is always recommended to have layered approach. I mean, by having 2 to 3 solutions. All right, guys, if you're not speaking, please go on mute.
सर
Or else,
जब हम सर हेलो
yeah, go on.
सर जब इनके ड्रॉबैक हैं तो हम क्यों यूज कर रहे हैं इनको जो अभी आपने पहले बताए थे
Mm-hmm.
एंटीवायरस और नेक्स्ट जेन
Drawbacks
एंटीवायरस
are right. Its drawbacks are limited for what it comes to when it comes to the detection. Again, that is what where we are using for known malwares. It is capable of detecting it, but for unknowns, it has a drawback. And for unknown, what are you using?
EDR.
And for known,
EDR
you're
system.
so that way you are getting the complete protection, right? So now, if you ask me, I don't have a EDR, I only have next gen AV. Do I really need to purchase the EDR? Then absolutely yes, you have to. Because with the next gen antivirus, you're only getting the threats covered only for somehow or some extent, not completely. The entire benefits of it, and then you will be able to make a clear call out of the differences between the EDR and the AV. Clear? So for the next
Yes.
15 minutes, I'm going to cover the key differences between the EDR and SIEM. So now, you know the differences between antivirus and then EDR, right? Now, you also know, somebody asked the same question. You also have correlation rules in the place in the SIEM. You have the data collection in the SIEM. You have the detection system in the SIEM. But why do we need to purchase an EDR? Okay, first things first. SIM is a different solution. I'm not going to talk more about SIM because you already have that particular training covered and you all are well aware what is actually a SIM is. But coming to the EDR, first things first, you have to enforce some policies. You had to tell what kind of detections need to be taken, and you had to enforce and say, I have to restrict the user to do this. Example, you had to restrict the user to not to use the USB. I'm just taking it as simple example. You had to restrict the USBs of a certain group or certain host. Then, do you think we'll be able to do it with SIM?
No.
No.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So EDR is capable of doing. And next thing is, um, again, malware analysis. So when it comes to the malware analysis of in-depth analysis, you all know what the SIM, how the SIM information is going to look like. So does SIM will be able to do the in-depth analysis of that particular malware and do the malware analysis by its own? I mean, does it have any
No.
features of sandboxing, malware analysis, anything like that?
No, it doesn't have sandboxing.
And it has, but EDR has. And next thing is SIM, we have to tell what need to be detected, right? We have to tell them what are the rules that I need for the correlation. But EDR, Do we need to tell them that what kind of data need to be caught or detected?
No, sir.
Because it comes with an inbuilt database of signatures with antivirus, as well as it has additional threat intelligence, and it has all the TTPs based on behaviors. So there you are completely covered. I mean, I would say 90% you are covered. You get it? Now,
Yeah.
to the responses. Coming to the response, you have to, again, example, let's take the deletion of the file. You have to delete a file and you have to scan a host. Can you do that with the SIEM?
No.
That is where you need next-gen antivirus on an EDR. Okay, I just giving you some of the outline functionalities of both in separately. So if I want to be precise, differences between the EDR and SIEM. EDR, SIEM you already know. It is mostly for the data collection. It is for collecting the information from multiple resources and then centralizing in one place and then creating a correlation between those events to create the detections based on the correlation rules that we give. Right? But
Exactly.
the EDR, it is more about protecting your endpoint. Because if it comes to an SIEM, it can't protect your endpoint. It can only take the data and then it can collect the data. It can correlate the data. It can just tell you that this is happening. But can it prevent you from execution of the file?
No.
That is where you must need an endpoint security solution. That is where next-gen antivirus or EDR comes into the picture. So SIEM and EDR may sound similar in the way they work, like data collection is the only commonality that it has, but they are very, very different in terms of the solutions. Now, the key importance is if you have an EDR, do we need SIEM in our environment or not? Most of the questions comes like after, I mean, most of the workshops, questions that I have got after the workshop or end of the workshop is, EDR is capable of doing everything. Do we still need SIEM in our organization? What would be your call?
Yeah,
Yes,
we
sir.
need to
Yes.
get this something.
The reasons being,
For analysis purpose, we need SIM. Okay.
not only for analysis, you had to think about this. Correlation is the main thing.
Endpoint.
EDR is only covering your endpoint, but endpoint is only not your system, not your server. It's not only your, I mean, mostly we install the EDRs on servers on the desktops, right? What about the firewalls? What about proxy connections? What about email activity? What about
Yeah.
user activity? I mean, what about user activity? Who will be monitoring all this abnormal
Also
activity?
file level activity also like file
File level,
level
EDR is able to do it. EDR will be able to monitor it. See, anything within the host, I mean, simply put, anything happening on your laptop or your mobile phone, EDR is capable of doing it. But what about the data coming in from out to inside? Let's say example, somebody is attacking your machine through DOS. Does your EDR will be able to protect them or alert you on that? Not
and
sure.
and the users' activities on the network.
Exactly.
EDR will,
Those web,
will not be able to check
somehow web
this.
traffic can be monitored. Web traffic will be monitored, but not completely. That is where that monitoring correlation of those events, like somebody is logging in, somebody is like accessing some unwanted files, somebody is accessing unauthorized access, those kind of monitoring you still had to depend on SIEM. I had to make a clear call out here. SIEM is the correlation between multiple logs, multiple devices and the logs coming from them. And then it will give you it will detect you one of the, one of the abnormal activities happening based on the correlation rules that we have. But when it comes to the EDR, it is a protection platform. Okay, I'll tell you one simple example, not to confuse you more here. You say you have all the CC cameras. You have a house. You have all the CC cameras around your host, 360 degrees, and you have a centralized monitoring system in your room. Do you feel protected? I mean, is that those CC cameras and those centralized monitoring system where you are looking at the screen and then looking what, I mean, you have the visibility, whatever it is happening, but is it just enough?
No, no. It will not
Despite
prevent.
of having the complete visibility, you still have to go ahead and ensure your boundaries. You have to protect your boundaries. You have to ensure you have the proper security team, physical security team who is at the gate, right? Because CC camera can only record it, can only see what is actually happening. Can it stop?
No, of course, we need physical
Entering into
security.
the house, it can only give you the record of activity, record of that particular event. But will it stop the attacker saying, "Hey, you are being watched, stop, don't get into it"? Can it do something like that? No,
Yeah.
nothing. It give you the information. And it's up to you. Now you have to go and respond and react. But whereas in EDR, it will take everything. It will do delete. I mean, it will take the action and then it will tell you that, "Hey boss, this is what it happened. This is what I did my part. Here is what you're supposed to do right now." You're getting my point?
Yes, understood.
Now you have a physical, now imagine the vice versa. You have physical security. You have physical security team who is standing at the every gate. Now that means that you don't need the monitoring system. You don't need those CC cameras
We need, sir.
because again, we are so we can't, I mean, this information is required for the recording of it and then future use of it, like an artifacts. So that is the simple differences between SM, because the more I'm stressing on this particular topic is I have heard from multiple people that this has been asked in the interview a lot more times, but many people fail to give the clear, I mean, many people has confused or worried about this particular question when they asked. So that is the reason why I'm stressing more on this. The only commonality that EDR and SIM has is only the data collection. And again, data collection is only from the EDR, or the endpoint is from by the EDR. But SIM will collect every information and then help you to investigate, report, and prepare the dashboards accordingly. SIM will only provide you the alerting. SIM will only be help you for monitoring. SIM will only be used as monitoring and then only stuff. But when it comes to the EDR, it is for detection, prevention, and it is for response. But only restricted and limited to
endpoints.
endpoint. But it doesn't mean that if you purchase an EDR and then secure it, it doesn't mean your firewall is secured. Your firewall traffic is monitored here. But again, for that, you have to need SIEM where you have to collect all the firewall logs and then see what is happening from the external world. You getting my point, guys?
Yes, sir. Basic difference.
Clear? So that's the concept of, or I would say basics of EDR. Now, before the session started, when somebody says EDR, now if somebody says an EDR, now you able to see the differences? I mean, now are you able to, uh, at least feel that, okay, when somebody says it's EDR, okay, this is what it is. This is what it is capable of. I mean,
Of course.
not completely.
Yes.
Yes,
You
yes.
understand that difference, right?
Yes.
That is the main motto of today's session, just to give the basics and basic understanding of different solutions we have in the market for the cybersecurity, and then how EDR differs from each of them. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Now I am open up for the questions. We have 5 minutes. I mean, before I open up for the questions, I would like to go through the questions in the chat here, and then I'll take up the questions. So bear with me for 5 minutes. If for 2 to 3 minutes, I go through it. Decrease performance, lack of 0-day used base, no privilege to analyze. Perfect. They are the key differences. You listed it down. You nailed it. What is the use of using correlation searches in EDR when you're using? I think I addressed this, Vivek. Let me know if you still need. I mean, okay, it is at 9:10. It is addressed. I think from where it is getting the signatures. Gaurav, I didn't get your question. Could you please elaborate? Amar, using OSINT tools. Not only OSINT tools. Again, that is we'll see where those signatures are getting from. What is the full form of iOS? It's not iOS, it's iOS. Yeah, you already answered it. What is EDR? Is it a software or just like antivirus? EDR is a software. Yes, it is a platform like antivirus or like an SIEM. It is the combination of components which are tasked to do something, and it has different vendors. Like example, if you see in the SIEM, we have Splunk, we have ArcSight, you have Curator. Like same way in the EDR, you have multiple vendors. Like few uses Falcon, CrowdStrike Falcon, few uses Microsoft Defender, few uses some Sentinel or some other applications. Do EDR also require license key just like antivirus? It depends from vendor to vendor. So here in this workshop, we'll see how Falcon is going to license or how they're going to charge us for the license. We'll see that in coming classes. Is there any chance of conflict if we install both? There is a chance of conflict. So you have to use one as active and other one as passive. That is how it works. Because most of the cases, EDRs will be active and then antivirus will be in the passive. What about the space consumed drawback? Okay, space consumer drawback or the features consumer drawback, we'll cover that tomorrow because I'll introduce you to the Falcon tomorrow. I mean, CrowdStrike Falcon and its benefits and features. There, I'll cover you that. Depends on organization budget, obviously, yes. Not about the budget. Actually, I'm asking about the space, which okay. I'll address you that. SIM depends on log of all devices. Everyone is getting frustrated because of resource consumed by AV, but we use the AV, next gen AV and EDR. It will consume more and more resources. Isn't that make endpoint slow? Gaurav, that's a very good question that you asked. We'll see that in the coming sessions. We'll see it live, how much data that is going to use by having the EDRs and all other things. There you will get some good idea. Are we going to cover the threat malware analysis in depth? Yes, we are going to. Again, when we say in depth, not till the reverse engineering or reverse malware engineering, but till the dynamic analysis of a file we're going to do. Again, static and dynamic and hybrid, but we are not going to do the reverse malware engineering. That will be very in depth. All right, I just done with reading all the questions here. Now I'm open up for the questions. Is router and switch considered as end devices because these two devices are not source and destination? It can act as intermediate. Not sure on the switch and router can be considered as the endpoint. Okay, let me put this way. It depends on which layer of switches that you are using. So if it is on the layer 3 switches and routers, I would say mostly they will be just the intermediate devices. But if you're using a layer 4 and above, they are like next gen routers, which also comes with the features of IPS, firewall and all the things, then obviously they need to be considered as endpoint because it has some data in it. Again, it depends on what kind of device that you're using and where are you actually using it. And there are multiple factors need to be considered for that. But for your question, if router and switches at layer 2 or layer 3, no, we don't consider it as an endpoint. A router, somehow we can consider it as an endpoint. Again, it depends because it works in the layer 3, but switch, no, definitely not. Guys, any questions do you have for the today or any? Okay, I have a couple questions for you all. Am I going fast or slow? Do you have any suggestion? I mean, are you all okay with the flow I'm going?
Yeah, flow is
it's
good.
moderate.
Yeah, it's okay.
Moderate.
Okay.
Yes.
All right
Sir,
then.
Arvind?
so what would
Go
be
on.
our role in India?
No, I didn't get you. Could you please repeat that?
What would be our role in India, sir?
Our role as analyst.
Yes, sir.
Let's see. That is what the entire workshop is for.
Arvind, I have a query.
Yeah, go
Uh,
on.
yeah, post completion of this training, whether we are eligible to write any CrowdStrike related certificates.
Absolutely yes. But again, you need the extra, you have to focus extra on it. I mean, what I say is you from the Falcon, it has 3 certifications.
Yeah.
CCFR, CCFH, and then CCFA. I am certified of CCFR and then I am certified of CCFH, but I'm currently focusing on getting CCFA. So with my personal experience, I can say CCFR, which is for CrowdStrike Certified Responder, you can go for it with the kind of knowledge that we're going to get with some little bit of hands-on practice. Okay. But CCFH and CCFA, because most they are like hunting and then administration related, we cover most of it. But again, I mean, when it comes to administration, we don't go in depth. We only go to the rule. I mean, I would say 90% of the administration activities. But the other 10% of the administrative activities like error troubleshooting, which are like core related to coding, so they are not being covered in this workshop. So for that, you have to do your extra research and then you can appear for it. But our main motto here is for the cybersecurity analyst roles. So this workshop is more focused on CCFR. So again, those exams were very tricky. So it's not on the skill set. They focus more on our experience, because why I'm saying experience is the most of the questions like will be based on the navigators. So how do you access this? Where do you access this? Those kind of questions. Like example, where do you find the quarantine files within this particular system? Those kind of questions where you will only be able to address when you have the hands-on experience. So I would say to your question, what do we call this? For CCFR, with some extra hands-on experience with all the topics that I'm going to cover, you should be good. But again, for CCFH and then CCFA, not in this workshop.
Okay. For
I mean,
responder, we can do it. Okay. Another one thing, in EDR, how the unknown malwares that are 0-day, it's prevented. It's detected.
we'll see in the upcoming classes in the live.
Okay.
Sir, email gateways and a firewall is considered an endpoint device?
Absolute. Okay, endpoint device.
Yes, yes.
No, they are not. I mean, email gateways are not considered as endpoint device. But firewalls, yes, you can consider as endpoint device. Again, next gen firewalls.
So
Not the.
IPS, IDS.
I mean, that's where next gen firewalls comes with that. See, they're not IPS and IDS solely. They can't. I mean, again, they are the network devices. They can be considered as endpoint, but again, not to the complete extent as we do this. But again, okay, let me consider this firewalls as an example. So no, I'll cover you that when we are going through the EDR module again, because I want to have some basics cleared on that, and then I'll let you know. Because we are protecting endpoint, but at the same time, you have a firewall, right? It also comes with the vulnerabilities. It also have user information in it. It has multiple packet data in it for that particular period of time. So we need to protect that as well. You have to monitor all the login activities as well, right? So yeah, I'll again brief you that on that. all the networking devices are considered as endpoints because they have the ability to connect to the internet, and then they have the ability to share or transfer the data. Layer 2 switches stores the ARP table data, I think. Again, layer 2 switches, why I'm not mentioning it as endpoint, because that ARP table is not, I mean, I would say, again, I'll come with a better explanation of it. Coming to the switches and the routers being considered as the endpoints, I'll come with the better data and the better example. I mean, I'll get some technicals with the technical or the versions that we have as well. Because if I explain anything, that will be like explaining in the air. So I want to show you some of the real documents or with some technical artifacts. I'll cover that, Gaurav, for you.
Okay.
All right, we hit on time and 6 minutes ahead. So if anybody has no questions, again, this is the first day. I just want to, it's just like an interaction session. We're not even touched we just understood the EDR in the layman. We haven't even touched it as in the technical aspect or something. So tomorrow will be the core. That is where we actually deep dive into the EDRs and then everything. I have a quick question. So have you got access to your Falcon? Have you all received the email email from Mahima for that?
Not yet.
No, sir, not yet.
You
No,
will be
sir.
receiving an email. I'll also help you to set up your accounts and log into the Falcon as well, which we'll be doing in the coming classes. All right, guys, on the day one, not too much to load up with your data, just simple. And I have a few kind of tasks for you to do. One is 0 day. Try to read more about 0 day for tomorrow. And then next thing is try to make a list of all the EDRs available in the market. You get it?
That products are right. Yes.
Vendors.
Vendors.
Just vendors, and then try to understand the key differences between them. When I say differences, how they actually difference in terms of the billing, how they differ in terms of the detection system, what actually differences between them as in EDR solutions. Because don't worry, I'll explain that anyway, but I just want you to do your research so that it'll be easy for you to understand in the coming classes. All right. With that, I would like to end the session for today, and it is really nice interactive session. I am more excited for the upcoming sessions, and I am expecting same kind of interaction to happen on the same days, which makes me more excited and which makes me give my best. So I hope you carry the momentum. We all.
Okay, sir.
Thanks, Arvind. It
All
was
right.
very
Thank
good.
you,
Bye-bye.
sir.
See you all tomorrow.
Bye bye.
Have a great day ahead.
You too.
The same timing, sir. 8 o'clock.
Same timing. Okay, I forgot to mention. So it'll be from Monday to Friday and the same timing.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
10
Thank
a.m. IST.
Bye, sir.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. See you all tomorrow.